What's up, everyone? So it is 4:15 in the morning, and I've got a sort of stream of consciousness thing going on, and I thought I'd make a video. Um, this is pretty personal. I'm going to try to do this in one take, and it is very early, so bear with me. I've got some notes here, and I'll kind of explain that too, because what happens is I have a tendency to wake up in the middle of the night, 3 a.m., 4 a.m., 5 a.m., and thoughts will pop into my head, things that I've never even considered during the day, just not had enough time to really step back and think about things. And they will be compelling enough to me that I'll end up transcribing notes about what it is that's going on in my head. And in this case, I probably woke up about 3 in the morning, and here we are at 4:15. I did do a little bit of setting up. I moved the most comfortable chair in the house into my office just so I could be able to film this video while my wife is asleep. But some thoughts that are going through my head. So, let's be up front here. So I have a pair of Nike Strangelove sneakers, and I think what I'm gonna do as part of this YouTube channel is actually raffle off a pair to one of my subscribers, of which there are currently only 41, but there's a catch. And I think in explaining the catch, I'll kind of explain where I'd like this channel to go, and we'll see if it can actually get there. So people that know me know that finances, money, investing is a topic that I have a lot of interest and experience in. And, one of the things that crossed my mind that got me writing these notes, and I'm just going to kind of read through this because, my stream of consciousness worked when I dumped it once, but sometimes trying to rehash it all, it's kind of like this video, like trying to shoot it all in one take. When stuff just flows, I think it's better, and it flowed when I wrote it up. Trying to go over it again, I'm just going to use this as a reference. But thoughts that cross my mind. So financial technology and instruments and leverage, how I built the success that I've seen financially came on the back of leverage to some degree. So, for example, the house that I own, we used a mortgage, a $1.2 million mortgage to buy the house when it was $1.6 million, and it's now worth probably 2.8 in this market, probably 3.2 at the peak a couple years ago. And there's plenty of other examples like that that I've had that at some point in time I'd like to get into on this channel. So, one of the things I actually wrote in here is how I write notes to myself. I think I covered that. I'll actually show you a screen grab I took as I was writing it. And, one of the thoughts that crossed my mind is how YouTube, as a creative outlet, is actually an example of a place where you can find financial technology being created and used. And it's not intuitively obvious, but when people raffle off items in exchange for likes and subscriptions, that's financial technology in action. You're not directly trading dollars, but the monetization of the likes and subscriptions and ultimately the views enables it. And that made me realize that hiding right underneath my nose is a point I've always wanted to make people understand in a way that's kind of easy, but I never had such a clean example to do it with. A lot of people who know me know that I care about money and that I'm good with it. And I personally do think I'm good with it. I think I'm great with it, in fact. But I don't care about money, not in the proper sense of the word. To that end, money is a tool, and a fantastic one. And if you can abstract money away from what it is exactly to what it can allow you to do, you can operate and utilize it in ways that you never realized or thought possible. And that's one of the reasons that in my videos you'll see a theme of optimization. money is a scarce resource. No matter how much you have, you can always outspend yourself. And another thing that people close to me know about me, I'm an engineer by trade, so growing up, logically, I just viewed things as black and white. This or that, right or wrong. And the older I've gotten, the more I've come to realize and appreciate the importance of psychology in really just about everything that happens in the world and how it operates at its core. And one of the anecdotes that I'll tell at some point, probably not in great detail right now, but up here, I did my best to kind of block out the personally identifying information. But yeah, on the office in my wall is actually kind of my diploma of sorts from the School of Hard Knocks, the deep end of the Wall Street cesspool. And anybody who's watched Billions, seen Billions, liked Billions, you'll know it's actually based on a real life story of really the largest hedge fund related insider trading scandal in American history. And, in Billions, Axe tears up a $1 billion check, and in real life, it was an insider trading scandal between SAC Capital and I believe the company is Wyeth and Alon over an Alzheimer's drug, where basically the hedge fund knew the results of the trial before they were made public and made a $1.1 billion swing trade for both profits and to avoid losses before anyone else could act on the news. And I was on the wrong side of this in real life back in, I think it was 2009, to the tune of basically $200,000 or 90% of my net worth that I lost in a span of 2 days. And I don't know how old I was at the time. 27, 28. But that was probably the most harrowing financial warfare story that I've been through. And this is kind of my memento of it. So 9 years later, 2007, I received a check for $29,000, $29,100. And I put it up here next to a photo I took of basically the little girl on Wall Street facing off against the bull, because that's kind of how I feel a lot of the times. But rather than take this moment and use it as kind of a woe is me, I chose to basically say I'm not going to be deterred. I'm going to learn from this, and I'm going to figure out a way to the other side. And for the most part, I did, and I have. So back to my notes here. Let me gather my thoughts again. All right, so back to kind of psychology and the role it plays. And also, I think you'll see that in Billions with like Wendy Rhodes and why she exists. When I saw that show for the first time, it really was a revelation to me. It was kind of like somebody took my real life personal experiences that I've always kept close to myself and my chest, and really not revealed to anyone else, on the screen in full display. And it was just so relatable to me. And I don't know how many people can relate to that too, but basically psychology, getting your head right in the right place is absolutely fundamental to investing successfully for the long term and really just living a good life. I think it's especially true when it comes to running a business. At the end of the day, consumers are fickle, retail investors even more so. Um, if you can appreciate that time is also a construct like money, um, but one whose properties you have no direct control over, but that you have to respect, you'll also realize that you can use time to your advantage as well. So I said in a previous video that living in the present is the most expensive place to be. And that's an example of what I'm talking about. So maybe I'll throw that clip in here when I piece this all together. The logic behind it actually ties heavily into finances and how you manage them. And that's a topic that I'm personally very interested in. I've got a lot of experience in, whether it's the investing side on Wall Street or just being smart with your money from a consumer perspective. And one of the things that I've come to find is that living in the present is the most expensive place that you can be. If you're investing, buying the hottest company, you're most likely overpaying for it. Everyone already knows about it. If you're buying the latest and greatest consumer goods and services, you're also paying that premium for the novelty, the newness of it. The investing side is probably a story for another day. I've got a lot of war stories I could tell, and I plan to do that at some point. But the consumer side is actually much easier. All it requires is that you be patient. And so if you're willing to wait for seasons to end, if you're willing to buy winter clothes for next year and summer of this year, you can snag some really good deals. And I do that, and in snagging the good deals, I actually open up the door to opportunities for creativity and experimentation. So, this jacket, this is a jacket I really did like when I saw it. I did see it kind of late in the season. So this jacket was originally, I think, for all intents and purposes, $1,100, and I picked it up for $655. And I only had to wait 2 to 3 days to get it from when I saw it. Had I seen it at the start of the season and liked it and wanted it, I still would have been willing personally to wait between 3 and 6 months to be able to pick it up at half price effectively. So at the end of the day, I have a vision for what I ultimately want to do with myself and my time. And as an ancillary point, this channel. This channel I view as also a tool, but I'm not yet sure as to its true effectiveness. Quite frankly, I'm skeptical. With the way that YouTube monetization is set up, I'm not sure that this is the right outlet for the things that I want to say. I have information in my head that I went to great lengths to obtain and figure out. I believe I can ultimately be of help to a lot of people. I very publicly, 4 years ago, think coming up on 5, said that I wanted to retire in 5 years. I made a Facebook post about it, and I gave updates occasionally on the 1 year mark, and really an update should be due come this November. I think it was around Thanksgiving time that I declared this. And it's been a long road, and I've realized some major success, and I've also had some major setbacks. And I really wouldn't have it any other way. And it's kind of funny because when I set out, I think I had a certain number in mind that I wanted to get to. And then I got to it, and I realized it wasn't going to be enough to really live the way that I want to live. And ultimately, I think when I tell my story, I want it to have a sufficiently happy ending that people will be compelled enough to want to listen to what I have to say. And I firmly believe I'll get there. I'm not 100% sure it'll be within the 5-year window that I originally set out, but I will have a story to tell someday. When I said I wanted to retire, what I really meant was that I wanted to shift careers, that I wanted to do things the way that I want on my own time. And what I want to do is tell my story and my philosophy, because I think the more people that think like I do, the better their lives can be. And I really, really do believe that, but it's I think, a very different approach to things than most people have or ever even take the time to think about. Um, I respect money and what it can be used for, but it is not the end game for me. Um, I have really a set of unassailable rules, a code that I've built up over time that I follow and live by, and I use money to further that purpose. Um, so here we go. My first implementation of financial technology on YouTube. And you're going to have to think long term if you're on the other side of this as a viewer, kind of the way that I do with my investments. So, like I said, I'm going to raffle away a pair of Strangeloves, and I do have, this pair right here. But I'm not going to be giving this pair away. And there's two reasons for that. One is a money lesson, and it gets into the psychology and philosophy of what I'm talking about. I know that what I have is valuable, incredibly valuable, the information in my head. But if I just say it into nothing, if I were to just tell my story right here, right now, I really don't respect its worth because I'm effectively giving it away for free. Right now, YouTube, for me, doesn't respect what I have to say. I need 1,000 subscribers, 4,000 hours of views before they'll give me a penny. That's just not, it wouldn't make sense for me to just throw everything out there. No one would even be paying attention. So I decided, with what I do in other areas, that I've got my own kind of YouTube rules to live by. And here they are. So, be willing to give my time, which is actually my most prized and valuable asset, but it's also kind of free. To the extent that I use it here, that's kind of how I'm viewing it. But don't spend any actual money to further this cause until it becomes clear that this is a cause worth spending money to further. So to the second point, I'm a sentimental person, and I'm planning to keep this first pair that I got come hell or high water for myself. So if I check StockX, let me do that right now because I'm actually very curious. These things really shot up in value. Looks like they're going for 1,075 at the moment. I think it actually went up even higher than that and came back down, but roughly $1,000 a pair right now. Who knows where they'll be when the time comes. I'm going to give you my word that whatever price these are at when the time comes, I will use all of the income from any monetization that I receive from YouTube first and foremost to buy another pair, and at that time give it to someone who is subscribing to my channel. How's that sound? Seems like a pretty good use of financial technology and leverage to get me where I'm trying to go, and to also give one of you a pair of Strangeloves for, supporting me, liking my videos, hitting the subscribe button. Doesn't actually cost you anything either. So I know I'm late on this bandwagon of, raffling things off in exchange for something else, but I don't think I've ever seen anyone describe this process as a form of financial technology, at least not on the consumer-facing side. And, doing stuff like this, talking about stuff like this, it's the type of thing that I could do for hours on end. It's the type of thing I spend a lot of time doing, free time doing, researching companies, understanding science, figuring out how that circles back to investments, business management, execution in the marketplace. All of this stuff has to come together to successfully invest money on Wall Street, plus the psychology you have around day traders and really just being able to use things to your own advantage. And one of the things that I've learned, and I'll just speak to this real quickly, is that everything that you might view as a disadvantage to yourself as an investor, if you take a step back and look at it, you can actually flip it on its head and turn it into a positive. You just have to be willing to look at things such as time in a different context. And like I said, if you're willing to respect the rules of time, if you're willing to be patient, that alone, patience alone, is such an incredibly valuable tool when it comes to investing and being smart with your money. So let's see. I think, on that end, I'll wrap this video up. If you guys can help me get to the point that I can monetize YouTube, then I think I will start to tell a lot of the stories that I think can, in turn, benefit you all. And trust me, they're actually pretty damn interesting. That right there is not the only war that I've been through or lived through. And it's certainly the biggest failure, but not even close to capturing the biggest success. So with that, I'll thank you. It's pretty late, and I'm going to go back to sleep. Bye.
What's up, everyone? So today is July 30th, and I'm on my daily 5 to 7 mile walk, depending on the route that I take. I think today I went with the 5 mile option, and I kind of want to wrap up some thoughts to close out a video that I made 4 days ago. And I think this is the perfect setting to do it because it's kind of representative of the work that you put in when nobody is watching to get to where you want to go. So since quarantine has started, I've been doing these walks basically daily, as frequently as I can, probably 4 to 5 times a week. And I burned through a couple pairs of shoes already, but 3 months in, I'm a couple hundred miles of walking into this. I'm down 20 pounds from kind of Christmas time. Feel great. And I think that, this is kind of a physical representation of the work that you have to put in to get to where you want to go if you're managing your finances or investing. And my wife is at home right now, and she has some reservations about me releasing this video that I want to release. And I can understand why, because once you put this out into the world, there's no putting it back. And I think there's a couple reasons that we have reservations for why. One is, speaking about finances openly in a public setting is just, for some reason, very frowned upon. Just doesn't happen in the society. People don't talk about how much money they make, their salaries. It all tends to be very hush-hush. There's an element here that I think for her, and also for me, could potentially come across as bragging or showing off. I was very, very reluctant. I sat on this other video for 4 days now. I was going to release it like all my other videos immediately, and then I just didn't. And I debated and I thought about it, and I was kind of like, I don't know that the story that I want to tell is at the point where I'm ready to tell it. There are elements of psychology in play here where I really don't want to talk about active positions or investments for a number of reasons. One is, I want to be solely responsible for my own actions. I don't want others evaluating what I'm doing and entering that feedback loop, I need to personally be supremely confident in how I'm structured and be willing and able to make decisions and take action as I see fit, as quickly as need be. And the other side of that is I don't want to be responsible or accountable for other people and actions they might take, and then mistakes that, I might see and then undo, but then they're stuck and then they're blaming me. And then I think the third part of this is, the value of information, teaching someone how to do something versus explaining specifically how you did one thing. There's a lot more value in explaining the how than the specific instance. Because if I tell you how I'm set up right now today, it's only useful to you today. But if I explain how I set myself up for the success that I've built, that's something that you can take and use and build your own story out of. So my reservation with, releasing this video, I think kind of came to a head today in a way where I said, you know what, screw it. Like, I'm so close to the problem that I can't see how significant the numbers that we're playing with now are. So as an example, today was actually a down day on the market. But, just by the way we happen to be structured, we actually made, on paper, mark to market, $155,000 today. And, that's actually a good amount. It's, it's interesting. It's kind of like, oh, wow, that's significant, but it's not game changing. It's not life changing. And it's not all that surprising either. So it was a type of thing where, as a reaction to that, we said, okay, well, let's get a nice lunch. We went and got some Din Tai Fung, and, let's treat ourselves to something nice, each of us. So I actually bought some Jordan 1 smoke gray shoes on StockX. That's another thing where I'd been waiting for them to come down in price. They were pushing 300, and today I picked them up for 255. I think that they may go down to 230, maybe, but probably 3 months from now they'll be back above 300. And then Tran went to Bloomingdale's and bought a couple of dresses at 70% off, spent about $170, but really saved a lot of money in doing so. And so, there's an aspect there that I also kind of want to talk about with how we compartmentalize money. The investing side of things is really its own pot, and we've built it up over time, methodically and deliberately, each and every month. And we just don't touch it. It doesn't impact our daily lives, but it's setting up a future for us where we're going to have the freedom to do a lot of things that we up to this point have only dreamed of. And so it's about building a better and brighter future. And, we're already kind of reaping the rewards from that because, 10, 15 years ago, I remember budgeting $10 a day for food. So, I tend to look at things in orders of magnitude. If I have achieved success at a order of magnitude level above my current lifestyle, that's something I'm comfortable with. So then I can kind of I can grow my lifestyle and how I live as long as I'm operating an order of magnitude higher beyond that. So, Tran's gonna hate me for this, but I really think I want to do this because I know long term this is gonna set the stage for what I would like to do with my time. So here we go. I think I'm gonna close this out. If she has any reservations after I put this together, maybe I'll tack another little video on the end of this with what she has to say. But otherwise, thanks for watching. I know this is gonna be probably like a 30-minute video all said and done, but it's really, the foundation for what I'm trying to do here. So thanks for watching, appreciate it. See you later.